Hi, I just did tagging and talked about some things that my buddy Copper 41 sent it to me. But also, I'm here tonight. I just did that, so I'm doing something else now. I wanted to reflect a few things, like, and talk about some stuff. I know it's been a while. I'm trying to get into my YouTube swing, but two things. One thing I talked about before was dating. Let me tell y'all what happened. There's a guy that I was dating, right? And he made his point of saying, yo, I like you, I dig you, I'm interested. And I must admit, he was outside of my race. He was mixed, or what you call biracial. And I made a mistake of letting this man get close to me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he was one of those types, oh, let's make plans, let's do this, let's do that, and never follow through. Needless to say, he's dumped. He's so dumped, it's not even funny. You know, how you going to call me Friday, say we're going to make plans, and then Saturday, you're not answering your phone? So, therefore, needless to say, I wasn't too serious about him. I liked him a lot, but I wasn't too serious about him because something just told me, don't do that. And in a minute, I met somebody else, like, while he was talking. And this is a lesson to men. If you complain about there's good women, there's a shortage of good women, and then you treat the good woman like garbage, and then you get mad because you got another hood rat, that's your fault. See, the problem is, it's not that there aren't any good black women. The problem is that when a black man gets in contact with a good black woman, they don't know how to handle her, and they treat her like the hood boogers that they've been used to. So, okay, I'm looking at it as such. If he ever watches this, anybody, you send mixed messages. If you say you want a good queen and you want a woman with her head together, then when you see her or have her in your life, you start feeling self-conscious because you don't have it together, or you think they're too domineering, or whatever kind of excuse you're trying to make, then you're back to complaining. And that goes for women too. Don't sit up here and complain about how there's no good men, men ain't this, men ain't that, blah, 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 blah. And then when you finally do get a good man, you don't know how to treat him, and you wind up doing the dumb thing like cheating on him because you think he's weak, or you think that he's, because you give him good sex, that's going to keep him. Nah. So it goes both ways. Now that I've gotten it out my system and out my way, this week I turned 30. Turned 30 Tuesday, and I'm happy. For the first time, I thought I needed a whole lot of people and a whole lot of friends and everything else to take and make things pop, make things happen. And I actually celebrated by myself and had a ball. If anybody who lives in Philadelphia reads this, and if they're not, if they've never done this, take the time to go to a place called World Cafe Live. And even if you're like in Jersey, Tri-State area, take the time to go to a place called World Cafe Live. Now, I'm not a big fan of I love music, but I'm not a big fan of everybody's music, because some people just put out negative vibes. I don't like negative music. I went there for a free concert event, and I ate some of the best food there, and it was reasonably priced. With this economy, you try, even though you try to cut back, at the same time you don't want to skimp on having a good time. You know what I mean? But it happens. Because broke, he's that way. So that place had a warm atmosphere, loving people. Even the staff was nice. And I happen to have a really good time there. So I would suggest that you take it to World Cafe Live. It'll be worth your time. They even have a website. You can go check it out. And it was a wonderful thing. Now, I'm a little upset because this week was a week of celebrations and a week of heartaches. I am like so upset that Michael Jackson dropped dead. And then it was over drugs at that. how can I put this? He did so much for music that I just don't think he had nothing left to give anymore. When he said this was his final curtain call, I don't know what words are powerful, and I don't think he realized what he was saying. You know, when he said this was his final curtain call, because actuality it really was his final curtain call, but for a life, it's deep. And he gave so much, and people, I've heard people say many things about him. How he shouldn't have been taking those drugs, and how he shouldn't have been doing this and doing that. And I gotta say, I'm not pro drugs, I'm not pro anything negative, that does harm to your body. But in the light of you being on your feet for about 45 years of your life, 5 years old, the group started, he was 5 when the group started, and by the time he was 9, everybody knew his name. Being on your feet for that long, and then when he got on his own and did like 30, almost 40 years on his own, and you see the dancing he did, you tell me, with your body contorting and contracting, your muscles, that you're not going to have chronic back pain. Just for him used to do that move on and get on his toes, point on his toes alone, I know his feet was jacked up. I know he probably had arthritis. No, I'm not looking at that. I'm not condoning drugs. I don't like drugs. I don't, if I can help it, I don't take them. But he was more of a physical entertainer than most people, most people take for granted. You can't do that for 3/4 of your life and think that, your body is going to be fine. So that says that. But also too, I think the reason for his weirdness, it's not him. It wasn't his fault. It was the life he lived. It was the surroundings he was put in as from like a small child, add to an extent, because we as people icon and worship folks to the no not end. We kind of put him in obscurity too. So it was like between his family and the fans, really didn't help him out much. He's never been able to be normal. So therefore, if you've never been able to walk down the street to go to the store to go get you, I don't know, purchase an item or something, and you can't even have private time unless you're secluded and isolated, that makes for some psychological damage. You got 15 countries and nations and people of 95 different languages all know this man's name. He could never have been normal. He could never have walked anywhere. And sometimes I think, even sometimes I think paparazzi is like really the devil. I'm gonna just deal with the real. How, I remember back in the days of, I love old Hollywood, old movies and things. You didn't know Rock Hudson was gay until he died, right? You didn't know the dad from Brady Bunch was gay until he died, and he died of AIDS, if I'm not mistaken. So why is it that we've made an industry of being nosy? Don't you think it's time for us to mind our business and handle our own lives? The Octomom, I don't care about her, and I really think she needs to go to jail. I think she needs to she's a DHS case. If her name was Roberta or Conchita, she would have went to jail for having all those kids, would have had them taken away for the conditions that he had the kids in. And it just glorifies how obscure and obscene our nation is. I just think paparazzi, the media, the people, we need to focus on other things. And it says to say that death for Michael Jackson actually might take and do good for the economy. When you got people that's going to come from all nations to make a pilgrimage to his star on the Walk of Fame and to his houses in Gary, Indiana, he might just get a bump and a boost. In his life, he helped the world, and in his death, he helped the world. That's deep.